Back again at the McLean Barbershop, Talk of the Town, 918 edition. We're on season 2, episode 6. We got a special guest with us. Met this guy some years ago. We was in Scottook actually, and ever since then we've been brothers. You know, it's not too many people you can count on. Every time you call, text, or you know, just loyal. We got one of the best AAU basketball coach to ever coach. Start a major program, MOKAN. We got Rodney Perry. Appreciate you, bro.
I appreciate you for having me, too. You know, it's all love here.
Yeah, we already know. Yeah. It's our guy, man. So me and bro kind of know where you kind of started at from Arkansas, but for the people that don't know you, everybody know you from the coaching scene around the AAU world. Now at K-State, and congrats on that job, too.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Tell the people how you got started. Like, what got you into coaching?
Yeah.
You know, just take us through that a little bit.
Man, my journey has been an incredible journey, you know, to say the least. My aunt was the one who actually got me in coaching at the Boys and Girls Club when I was 12 years old.
In Arkansas, right?
In Arkansas, Fort Smith, Arkansas, you know, too. And so I started at the Boys and Girls Club starting at 12. I was helping her out, her assistant coach and everything. And then at the age of 14, they trusted it to give me my own team. You know, here I am, 14 years old. I'm coaching 7 to 8-year-old kids on a rinky-dink. Start out with a football team first and end up going undefeated, winning the championship my first year being a head coach. And then we switched over to basketball next and was able to, you know, win a championship and go undefeated in basketball with 6 players. And I was like, man, this is big time. And then went to baseball next and was able to win baseball.
All with the same group of kids?
All with the same group of kids.
Okay, yeah. Because we kind of did that when we got started with Meacham. Yeah. Started with football then basketball.
Yeah, and then we went in that coach soccer. You know, I ain't never coached soccer before.
You did hockey also.
Yeah. You know, and so we ended up winning that, and ever since then I was hooked. And so I kind of knew already, like, hey, man, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Oh, okay. And so after that, like, did you get a high school job? Like, what was your first real paid coaching job?
So after that, you know, so I was still, you know, about to go to high school.
Yeah, because you was 14.
Yeah, I was 14 in 8th grade, about to go to high school. I was still playing sports myself and everything, too. So I was, you know, going to high school, playing sports and coaching, you know, at the same time, too. And then once I got out of high school, I went to junior college first. And then that's when I really got into coaching some AAU teams as well. Started off with the Fort Smith Bulls, me and my best friend, who is now the head coach at our high school, Fort Smith Northside, Erica Burnett, you know, too. And so we had some success with the AAU team, took them to nationals and everything, too. And then was going to junior college there in our hometown. And then I went on to college at Missouri State. And then started an AAU program once I got done playing there with my playing career. And that was kind of like my official arrival on this coaching.
And what was the AAU program called?
It was called the Springfield Rockets.
Okay.
You know, and so we used to come to Tulsa all the time, playing the hardwood.
Okay. Up there at ORU.
Yeah, in ORU. You know, and so that was always a thrill. You know, everything too. And then from there is when I really got into my first opportunity coaching, you know, at a high school. It was Willard High School in Willard, Missouri. I was a head freshman coach and then assistant varsity coach. And so that was my first high school, you know, coaching gig. And then from there I did that for 3 years. And then the head coach over at Central High School in Springfield, Missouri, called me and wanted me to be his head JV coach and assistant varsity coach. So I done that for 3 years. And then after that, I got my own opportunity to be a head coach at the high school level. I started out in a small town in Missouri called Purdy, Missouri. And so we was able to have some success there in my first year there. And then I went from that season there and made the jump to the college ranks, where I was assistant coach at Southwest Baptist University. Was my first dabble in the college, coaching industry, and then from there I was there for a year, and then was able to get a phone call from the head coach at Duquesne University named Danny Nee, who wanted me to come and start out. I started out as the ops guy at Duquesne University, and then kind of just worked my way up, from there, and was fortunate enough to be able to coach at a few other colleges.
You was at ORU for a little bit too.
I was at I went to Western Illinois after I got done at Duquesne, and then from Western Illinois I became a head NAIA coach in Kansas City at Avila University, and then after 6 years there, Coach Sutton was the head coach at ORU, and he wanted me to come and be his assistant at ORU, so I was able to come to ORU and be the assistant there, and then we went through a coaching change there with and then Paul Mills got the job and kept me on staff there, and then I went to UMKC in Kansas City for a couple years, and then ended up starting a prep school last year in Branson, Missouri, called Link Academy.
One of the best prep schools in the first
year.
we was blessed and fortunate enough to be able to make it all the way to
national championship.
All the way to the national championship game. We created history in the first year of the program, too, and then was fortunate enough that we had a really good team and had a lot of success in the first year. And then when Coach Tane got the job at Kansas State, he called me up and wanted me to come and be the assistant, at Kansas State. So that's kind of been my journey on this coaching ram for a little while too. So
let me ask you a question. So you had the opportunity of being someone who started up MOKAN, one of the successful AAU programs, and you helped start up Link Prep. What are some of the core values that it goes into building a brand so successful like you have had at MOKAN, winning multiple of Peach Jams and stuff like that? What's some of the core values that goes into that?
I think the number one thing is culture. You want to build your own culture the way that you want it, and then it's going to start with getting the right players, the right kids, the right people, because as we all know in this coaching industry, it's more than just the players, because you got to recruit the parents, as well, and then you got to recruit, family members or other coaches or trainers, that they may have, too. So, but you got to make sure it's a fit, overall. And so that's one of the things that we've always looked for, to make sure we have, the right people, and then not only just the right people as far as the players go, but even on your staff and people around you, too, because that's so invaluable, too, to where it's like, hey, those people gonna make a big difference, in the success, too. So that's one of the things that we really have been very meticulous about, is making sure we have the right people, as far as from the people that's going to help you, and then the people that's going to actually, play for you too.
Right. So you started up MOKAN. When you guys first started up MOKAN, was you straight on the Nike circuit? And so so tell us how you got on the Nike circuit. Like, what happened?
Yeah. So we have one of the most unique stories of how we actually got our Nike contract and got into the EYBL, which is totally different from any other the EYBL team, and it's still crazy to this day when we kind of look back. I was able to be one of the founders with Matt Souther.
Shout out Matt.
Most definitely. Matt, that's my brother. We've been able to, do some great things together, and love him to death. And, we was able to, team up. When we first started came up with the idea. Matt was the one who came up with the idea of, hey, let's start a AAU program in Kansas City, and he wanted to do it for all the right reasons, because at that point in time when we first got started, there was people that we felt like was doing it for all the wrong reasons, too. They wasn't doing it for the kids. They wasn't doing it to make sure that the kids are prepared to go play at the next level, and things like that. And so when he came up with the idea, and we was, he wanted to find someone that was kind of like-minded, that wanted to do it all for the kids, and make sure that the kids was being taught the things that they need to be taught and held accountable, too. And so when we first started, we actually teamed up with Todd Hensley out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, who at that time he had Space Indy Heat. Now they just
Right.
Indy Heat, but
yeah. Okay.
But we teamed up with him, and he was kind of helping us, guide us, and teaching us, some of the things and everything. And then Nike had came up with the EYBL. They had already had a year underneath their belt, and so they was trying to figure out. They had one spot left that they was trying to figure out what team to let into the EYBL. And so they couldn't make up their mind, and Nike being the business people that they are, what they came up with was, hey, let's have a tournament, and we'll have these teams pay an entry fee. Anybody can come and get into the tournament, and whoever wins the tournament get a Nike contract into the EYBL.
And what year was that?
So, oh, wow. That would have been 2010, 11.
Okay.
That year.
Who did
That
you
was
have on your team, though?
Well, see, that was a crazy thing, too, because when me and Matt, had talked about it, we had a really, really good freshman team that was 15 and under. So we had a really, really good freshman team that year. We actually went that year. We actually went 60-2. We had lost two games. We lost one game in the spring and one game in the summer, and it was the last game. And our best player ended up getting hurt, that summer. So the next year, those guys were 16s when the tournament rolled around. And so we knew they was good enough, but the tournament was for 17s. And so we looked at our 17-year-old group, and we only had like a couple of players that was like really good on the 17s, but we had a bunch of
young guys.
Yeah, young guys that was really good. So what we decided to do was we took our best 17-year-old players, which the one that people will remember is Willie Cully-Stein.
Okay.
So Willie was one of our top 17-year-old, him and Siobhan Shields, and then we took our best 16-year-old and then we combined them together to form a team. Some of our best 16-year-olds at the time was Shimmy Ojale.
Okay.
And then we had Austin Reuter. Also was
shooter.
Yeah, the big time shooter.
Yeah.
And so we ended up combining that team together to enter this tournament. And then Matt actually couldn't be at the tournament because his first son was actually being born that weekend, and it was like crazy how many teams was in it, because they're playing for a Nike contract, and so we ended up, long story short, making it all the way to the championship game. We playing against the Texas pros. They had Isaiah Austin and Daniel House and some dudes, so they was loaded, and it was crazy because the game come down to the last minute of the game. Well, let me back up, because first in warm-ups, Isaiah Austin was the number one player in the country, 7-foot player that could do pretty much everything. And so even doing warm-ups, I was always looking for motivation, for my guys and stuff. And so
Shake did say that too.
Yeah. So Isaiah Austin was the one who gave me some motivation for my guys and everything, because when they was warming up, going to the warm-up line, he looked down there at our guys. And he said, "I'm gonna dunk all on them dudes," And I didn't hear him say it at first. My assistant coach, Robin Lucas, heard him, and Robin said, "What you say?" And then Isaiah looked straight at him, didn't bite his tongue at all, and looked straight in his eyes and said, "I said I'm gonna dunk all on them dudes down there," and he said, especially the big dude down there. And he was talking about Willie Cully-Stein, because Willie was a 7-footer too, just like Isaiah. And I heard him say that. Yeah. And so I walked right down there. I said, "Hey, bring it in." And so I said, "Hey, look, that dude down there, he said he about to dunk all on you, dog." And so I looked at Willie. I said, "Willie," he said, "especially you." And Willie just gave me a nod, like, "Okay." And so, but Isaiah was so good because he was 7 foot. Yeah. He could handle it. He could shoot the three, and he can play with his back to the basket. But he hadn't seen Willie Cully-Stein before, and this is when no one really knew who Willie was, either. And so Willie was also a 7-footer, but Willie could run and jump and athletic and everything too. In the first possession of the game, they threw the ball to Isaiah down on the block, but Willie 7 foot too, and so Isaiah couldn't shoot over the top of him. And so Willie blocked the shot, to start off with. So then Isaiah was like, "Okay, well, I'm going to do what I normally do with other big guys. I'm going to take him out on the floor." And the first thing he tried to do was beat Willie off the dribble. Willie wasn't having it. Isaiah couldn't go by, you know. And then he's like, okay, I'm gonna raise up and shoot the three. And he tried to raise up and shoot the three, and Willie blocked that one too.
Yeah.
You know, and so that kind of like set the tone of the game right off the bat. And it came all the way down to last minute of the game, and we was actually down 4 with the last minute with the ball. Called timeout at half court. Drew up a play for Willie, double back screen. We get a layup. Now we're down 2 with 30 seconds left to go in the game, and we had to foul. And they were shooting a 1-and-1, and so we fouled. They missed a 1-and-1. We get the rebound, brought it up to half court, called the last timeout. You know, with 20-something seconds to go in the game, and we have a play we call jump, and we normally run for Austin Reuter, which is but Shimmy had been killing like the whole game. This was Shimmy coming out party. You know, too. He had been killing, playing up, too. And so I said, we're going to run jump. And Shimmy looked and said, for who? You know, what Shimmy said. And so I said, we're going to run it for you. You know, so we drew up the play in the huddle and everything. And we tried to get the ball in bounds. And when we got it in bounds, they ended up deflecting the ball out of bounds. So then we ended up having less time. The clock ran out to like 11 seconds to go. So we said, hey, we're going to skip the first part of it and just run it straight from the out of bounds play. And so we ran it straight from there, and then we ran the play and threw the ball to the weak side. You know, it's a hammer action, and then Shimmy called it. Willie set a great screen, and it was like everything was in slow motion, you know, too. And so the ball was in the air, and you can kind of see the ball in the air, and you can see the clock ticking down. You know, 3, 2, 1, and then as the clock hits 0, you see the ball going through the net and the buzzer sounds and everything, and everybody goes crazy.
Yeah, I got a Nike contract.
We won by 1, you know, because at first guys were like, hey, we're going to try to tie it up and go to overtime. Like, no, we're going to try to win it right here. And so we end up, you know, winning that and then getting a Nike contract, and Matt was – you know, I called Matt, you know, on the phone, like, we did it. He said, thank God, I've been in church all morning praying, you know, that we was going to be able to do it. And so, but that's how we actually got into the EYBL, not even knowing, you know, what the EYBL was, because we got our tail kicked that year, you know, too, because we didn't know, you know, and it was a whole nother level. So we went in there, and but it helped us for the next year, because the next year, our second year in the EYBL, we made it to the Final Four. You know, and we've been there ever since.
Okay.
So, arguably, you probably had the best AAU team with Trae Young and Michael Porter. How did you put that together?
Well, how did you get those two on the same team?
Well, it first started with Mike. We recruited Mike as an 8th grader, you know, and then one of the things I always ask anybody that we're recruiting is, what are your goals? Mm-hmm. You know, and he told me what his goals were, and already as an 8th grader, he was 6'8", 6'9", and, you know, had guard skills, in which that's the way, you know, their dad actually, you know, trained them and prepared them where they was going to, he knew they was going to have some size, because their mom is 6'4", you know, too. And, you know, I always mess with those guys, too, because I always say, you know, they get their scoring from their mom, you know, because mom could really score that thing. Right. But really recruited Mike really hard as an 8th grader, and he came on board first. We played Mike up when he was 15, up on the 16, and then Trae as a 15-year-old was playing for a team out of Texas.
Pro Skills.
Yeah, Pro Skills is where he was playing, and then my first time meeting Trae, I worked the Nike Elite 100 camp.
So you didn't really know him when he was playing with Pro Skills?
I didn't really know him.
Okay.
Nike Elite, was in St. Louis?
It was in St. Louis.
Okay.
Yep, the Nike Elite 100 camp in St. Louis. That was my first time meeting Trae, and getting to see Trae actually like play, you know. And actually, he wasn't even on my team. I had another kid on my team that knew Trae really well, and he was like, "Hey, don't let that dude right there, shoot it, you know, too." And so I was like, "Well, okay, well, you gonna guard him then? You know him better than
who was it? Elijah?
Anybody else." It wasn't Elijah.
Okay.
I can't remember the kid's name now, but he was also a kid that was from Texas, though.
Okay.
That's who it was, and so that's how he knew who Trae was and everything like that. And so after we had played him, and Trae, I could see Trae could, you know, really go. And so I went up to Trae afterwards and talked to Trae. You know, afterwards, and his dad Ray was there, you know, too. And I actually ended up talking to Ray also afterward. And then the funny thing was, after the camp was over and everything, we go to the airport. And I was at the airport, and I happened to see Ray and Trae, you know, at the airport. And I always have these bands on, and I always have a band that says, "What's your why?" You know. And so I went up to Trae and I asked Trae, I said, "Hey, man, I enjoyed, working with you at camp and everything. And I asked him, I said, what's your why? But he looked at me kind of like, what are you talking about? So I took my band off my wrist and I gave it to him, and I said, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to go to YouTube, pull up Kevin Durant, and type in what's your why. Kevin Durant, what's your why? And I said, and listen to that, and then you'll know what I'm talking about, too. And then I gave him my number, too. And so he went home and looked at the video, and then he hit me up and was like, my grandfather,
Gotcha.
is what he said is my why, and I was like, cool. And then later on in the year, we heard that, he was kind of maybe looking for another, AAU team, and so then I was like, okay, well, let's see if we can make this happen, So I recruited him, and it was funny because we actually met halfway. We was in Kansas City, and Trey and them being in Norman, we met in Wichita, Kansas, and so I sat down with him, and the great thing that played a major factor for us too is that we had already had the year before a kid from Oklahoma named Shake Milton.
Yes, sir. Shout out Shake.
And Shake had done, an outstanding job for us, and it ended up being a great fit for Shake, too. So we was like, well, we can do some of the same things with Trey that we did with Shake. And so I met him in Wichita, showed Trey and them some film and everything. And the great thing about Ray that I felt like was a difference maker too, and I actually ended up asking Ray after, a year that Trey was with us and everything, like, what made you guys decide to, come and play for us after you had, like, everybody was, and everyone was promising, hey, Trey everything, like, hey, you're going to be, this, that, and the other, and I didn't promise him any of that. I said, you're going to work hard, we're going to develop you, and things like that, and Ray was like, that's all we was looking for, was someone that was going to just come in and, hey, tell us the way it was instead of promising, stuff. And so I commend Ray for that, too. And then from there, we just kind of took off because then we had, Trey and Mike, together. And then the first year, we played them both up on the 17s, and, so they can take some lumps here or there. And then by the 17-year-old, Trey and Mike, they was different.
Number one and number two, or 1A, 1B.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Most definitely. And that's the thing, too, because I would have liked to see if Mike wouldn't have gotten hurt, where both of them would have actually ended up, going in the draft.
Yeah, I got you.
Because Mike slid because of the fact of, he got injured and wasn't able to play at Missouri but a couple games, too. And that's the thing people fail to realize. Mike was the number one player in the country, too.
And I want you to be honest with me. I'm going to ask you a question. Did you know Trey would be this special at the NBA level like what he's doing now?
See, that's only probably about the 500th time I done got to ask that question.
And I know you keep it real, too.
Always. And I told Trey this when we was making a run, too, that he was the most important, player on our team. Even though Mike was as talented as he was, but as a point guard, your point guard is what's going to run the show, too. And so I knew if Trey was play well, we was going to win. Mike could go get you 30, but we still may end up not winning. But I know if Trey was going to play well, we was going to win. And that was the thing that we talked about. So to answer your question, I knew Trey had some things the same way that I had said about Shake when I coached Shake. Trey had some things you couldn't teach. When God had blessed certain players with certain things that you can't teach, then all of a sudden it's like, then when you add the things, and he was so coachable, too, and he wanted to be the best, and you could tell that too, because every time we would play someone that people would say, or the rankings would say that this guy's better than him,
he was locked in.
Oh, man, he was dialed in, big time. And he would always ask me, Coach, what do I need to do to get better? What do I need to do to get better? And so a person with that mindset, it was kind of like that Kobe mindset, too. They're going to make it, and they're going to be very, very successful. And plus, the thing I always tell everyone about Trey that made him different, too, he was a professional before he became a professional.
I got you.
On and off the floor, too. So, therefore, he was the one that ended up, saying, hey, I'm going to be this special guy. I'm going to be an all-star. And so I believed him,
Yeah.
you know, because he showed us everything, too, that he was able to do. So we just kind of took it and ran with it. But, I did know he was going to be special because he was special when he was at a young age, too.
Okay, gotcha. We're going to take a small little break real quick. We got my guy, Rodney Perry, Kansas State assistant coach. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Talk of the Town, the 918 edition.
There is truly no place like home. Right here in Eastern Oklahoma, Bravado Wireless provides the best unlimited talk, text, and data for only $40 a month. We believe in strong, connected communities. That's why we live stream community events like local football games. You may not know us by name, but we'll be at the same festivals and cheering for our kids on the same sidelines. Because we live where you live. Visit bravadowireless.com or visit one of our stores, where we make it easy to join our family. Bravado Wireless. We believe in the power of connection.
This episode is brought to you by the Smith Family Agency. It's simple. They make sure you have the right insurance coverage on your home, auto, or business. They also have the best prices for insurance in Oklahoma. Call my guy Brian Smith with questions, and he will give you a quick quote. We trust him to always do the right thing for you and your family. Call Smith Family Agency at 918-417-7400 and tell them the Bubby sent you. All right, we're back again at the McLean Barbershop from Break with Coach Perry. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Talk of the Town, the 918 edition. All right, Coach Perry, you just got done talking about Trey. And you had the best AAU program in the nation, they say. You got to give us your all MOKAN team. Your 1, your 2, your 3, your 4, your 5, and you get a 6-man. That's it.
Oh, wow, man. That is so tough. All MOKAN team. All right, so.
Who you want?
All right, so the one. All MOKAN team, the one.
Man, you ain't got to think about the one. We know who the one is.
It's tough because I have guys where I could be like Shake Milton could be the one.
I got you. I got you. Yeah.
You know, because everyone automatically want to say, okay, well that would be Trey.
Yeah.
But I mean, Shake been in the league just the same way and he's the one. So I mean, people would say Trey would be a 1, but if Trey's gonna be the 1, I would say Shake is the 2.
Okay, so you got Trey at the 1, Shake at the 2.
And then Mike's a 3. I mean, heck, Mike could play 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Really. And then some people gonna say Willie Cully-Stein would be the 5. And then Shimmy Ojale would be the 4.
And who's your bench? Who's your 6-man?
6-man coming off the bench. That's tough too, because I can go with Kennedy Chandler. I can go with Christian Brown.
Who you got? You only choose one.
So,
you done have some ball players.
Man, been blessed. Been very, very, very blessed. I got a wall at my house that has
Kennedy got you a Peach Jam championship too.
Most definitely. And the Folly Dante is gonna be coming. He's the next guy.
Right.
Too. And so and then even this year's Peace Jam Championship team too. Those guys, we have some guys on that team that's going to be, pros.
Don't say their names,
too. So, but I would say, but Christian Brown, I mean, he's so tough.
Who's he playing with right now?
The Denver Nuggets.
Denver Nuggets. Okay.
Denver Nuggets.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. You got Trey at your 1, Shake at your 2, Michael Porter at your 3, Shimmy at your 4,
Willie Cully-Stein
at your 5. You down 2.
Down 2.
With 3 seconds left. Who you calling to play for?
If I only need a 2? Cartier Gordon. That's who I'm calling to play for.
You're not on the team, though. on the team. Yeah, on the team. Who you calling to play for?
Actually, with that lineup right there, man, that team that we playing against for us to be down 2. So I could run pretty much anything with any of those guys, and it's gonna be a bucket.
I got you.
It's gonna be a bucket. Whether it's a 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, it really doesn't matter because we're gonna get a bucket with that lineup.
Okay. And you had the luxury of coaching to get some dudes.
Oh yeah.
Now give me 5 dudes that you coached against that had you up all night. In the hotel lobby going on that scouting report.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's see. In 2012, there was a guy by the name of Andrew Wiggins. And Andrew was a dude, man. I tell you, because he's a guy I used to always joke with everyone about Andrew Wiggins, because Andrew Wiggins he came out in 2012. He was the #1 ranked player in 2012. But now people don't realize he reclassed.
Okay. Reclassed up or down?
Well, he should have been in the 2013.
I got
That's where he should have been, because he was the #1 player in 2013. But he reclassed in 2012, and he was #1 player in 2012. Wow. And if he would reclass 2011, he'd been #1 player in 2011.
So he was special.
Oh, he was very special. Very, very special. But he's the one, like, there's certain guys that when you coach against him, you already know, like, oh, that dude's a pro.
I got you.
And he was that dude.
Give us a couple of more.
All right, so, but he would be number one, for sure, because he could do pretty much everything. I knew Mo Bamba was going to be, a pro, too, because he was, we hadn't taken very many L's in EYBL, and PSA was one of those teams that beat us that year. And Mo Bamba was, a big part of that, too. Gary Trent Jr., they never beat us, but he was always like the dude, too. So he was special, as well. And DeAndre Ayton was a handful, too, when we played against him.
One more.
Let me see who it would be. Sharif Cooper. Was AOT. Okay. Him and Boston. Brandon
Boston and AOT. Okay, I got you.
They squad was legit that year too, but they took that L too.
I got you.
So you're assistant coach now at Kansas State. You've been a head coach at the NAIA, prep school, MOKAN Elite. And you don't have to give me a name or anything, but is your dream to be a head coach at the Division I level? To be an NBA, like, what's your dream? Like, when you go home at night, you say, "Okay, I accomplished this. I'm good now." Is it a head coach, NBA assistant? What is Rodney Perry's dream job?
Well, my dream is where I'm always able to make an impact on young people's lives.
Amen.
So that's the #1 dream that I have. So every night I want to just be able to wake up the next day and be able to make an impact on young people's lives, too. So, but as far as a dream job, I see myself. I mean, I've always said that I was going to be a head Division I, college coach, and so that is a dream and a goal, of mine. That right now, that's what I've been doing. Everything as far as my career, just keep trying to put myself in a position to make that dream become, a reality. And it's something that you got to wake up and believe and say, every day, and it's going to happen.
Got you. Okay.
So you got that Kansas State right now. When Rodney Perry and Kansas State walk into a gym, what do you look for when you're recruiting a kid?
Wow, let's see. So the first thing I would say that we're looking for when we walk in and recruiting a kid is, does he fit our culture? That's the #1 thing. Does he fit our culture? So that's the first and foremost thing that we're going to look for.
Right. So that's all it is, just culture.
That's the #1 thing, is culture, because there's a lot of things that go up underneath culture. How hard he work, his attitude, coachability wise, does he want to be a pro? So all these things are going to play a factor in it, too, as well as the people around him. What's his corner like, and who's going to be the guy that has his ear and listening to him and everything. Too. So all those things fall under the culture umbrella.
Okay. And have you ever, like, when you're recruiting a kid, have you ever stopped recruiting a kid because of their parents?
Oh, most definitely. It hasn't always been because of the parents. It could be an uncle. Too, or mom, or a trainer, too. So we've seen it all, but most definitely, because, like the old saying is, the apple don't fall far from a tree.
That's true.
Too. And then we actually look at the fact of, I've stopped recruiting some kids too when I watched them after a game, how they interact with their parents. Too. Okay. Sometimes they can have the greatest parents, that there is. But the parents are really, really nice, and and a kid just disrespect them as parents, you know. And I'm like, well, if you're gonna disrespect your parents, what you gonna do with me as a coach? And those are the people that gave birth to you, you know. And so therefore, I'm like, I'm not recruiting, you know, that player, because if he's gonna disrespect his parents, then I'm not gonna have a chance, you know, as far as that goes.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so who is some of your biggest like influence, like in the coaching world? Whoever it is, like guys that mentor you, guys you study, or you know what I mean, like who's
somebody you called for advice when you just took the Kansas State job.
Like, so that was a long list, but to go back as far as my first mentor and someone who I looked up to and took a lot of advice from, and the reason why I'm where I am today in this coaching game, that someone that's been a coach and a head coach at the highest level too, is Nolan Richardson.
Oh, okay. Cool.
You know, Nolan Richardson was the head coach.
Because he's from Arkansas, right?
He was the head coach at Arkansas.
Okay. And you have a relationship with him?
I have a relationship with him, and actually, when I got the Kansas State job, he actually called my mom. And stuff too, and told her I always knew he was going to be big time. Is what he told my mom. And so, but the thing, he gave me some great advice, and advice that I always give to young coaches and stuff too, that has stuck with me from the time that he gave it to me as my mentor. And once he found out that I wanted to, you know, become, you know, a coach and especially in the college game, and he had told me that, you know, hey, if you're going to be successful, you got to be able to do three things really well in this industry. And he said, you got to be able to communicate, motivate, and teach.
Amen.
You know, and he said, if you can do those three things really well, then you're going to be very successful. And so I always took that to heart, and so I always made sure that I've been a really good, you know, communicator, teacher, and a motivator as far as being a coach, you know, too. And so that's stuck with me, and it will always stick with me. And that's the advice that I give when people ask, you know, hey, coach, what advice can you give me as a young coach, you know, growing up in this game?
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. So that's I was gonna ask you, what would you give advice to a high school coach that want to be a college coach? So would you give them the same three, or would you give a high school coach a little different?
Yeah, I would definitely give them the same three, but I would also, you know, because it's changed so much now too for the college game. Because when I was coming up, you know, we didn't have what's called graduate assistants, and so now, you know, for a high school coach that wants to become a college coach, my advice to them is going to be become a graduate assistant. You know,
but it's hard if they
already out of college
10 years or something like that. Right?
Most definitely, but it's all about who you know.
That's the truth.
You know,
that's the truth.
You know, too, because our GAs that we have 5 GAs at Kansas State right now, and all of them are older guys. You know, too. And so we have some guys that, I mean, they have families and everything.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
Too. And so, but they want to be, you know, getting a foot in the door on the college level, and so that's the best way to go about doing it, is become a graduate assistant, because this coaching industry anyway, it's all about who you know, and so there's constantly, you know, coaches calling coaches to be like, hey, I'm looking for, you know, a great guy that can come in and, you know, join my staff as assistant, you know, and because of the experience that someone has as being a graduate assistant, now they're going to be like, hey, I had a GA that worked for me this past year. He was excellent. You know, you should talk to him. And those guys end up getting, you know, a college job because of that, to where it's a lot harder just coming from a high school.
It is very
because the college coach is going to be like, but he doesn't have any college experience, you know, overall. So the GA spots now actually give those guys some college experience.
I got you.
Okay. So do you think it's like, because some college, like high school coaches think like, say I was a high school basketball coach, we would feel like we're bothering you. You get what I'm saying? Like, do you encourage high school coaches to keep a relationship with college coaches? Like, you know, text some advice, stuff like that. Do you agree with
Come watch practice?
100%. Because everything in this industry is all about relationships.
Amen.
You know, too. And so, and sometimes, just like what we tell the players that we're recruiting sometimes, you know, is you never know who's watching.
Yeah, that's
true.
true.
You know, you never know who's watching. True. You know, because that's the thing too. Because we're on our players all the time now, even about how they treat our managers. You know, too. Because coach has told our players like 14 former managers that have worked for him at Baylor are in the front offices of NBA, you know, teams. You know, now too. So it's like, you got to be careful how you treat everybody, too, because you never know, like, hey, that could come back to haunt you, as well. But you definitely want to, end up having relationships as much as possible, with college coaches, with high school coaches, because it works the same way with us, too. We got to have great relationships with the high school coaches, because we never know, hey, we may want to recruit one of their players, and if we, mess up that relationship, that coach has, the type of relationship with that player, like, hey, you don't want to go play there.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's one thing I've always tried to make sure, because even people try to make rivalries, with our MOKAN program and everything like that. I'm like, I'm not getting all that, because one day I know I'm gonna be a college coach, so I want to make sure I'm able to go and recruit players from those programs.
What has been in this last month or two? You won Peach Jam in July. What has been 3 months? What has been your biggest adjustment from running your own program, going from high school link prep to MOKAN, running your own program this summer, now to being an assistant? Like, what's the adjustment? Is it your freedom, get to do what you want, your time schedule? What is your adjustment?
No, my biggest adjustment is, now as a head coach, you kind of run everything. You kind of organize everything. You kind of are telling people, where to go, what to do, and what time we're going to do certain things and everything like that, to where now as an assistant coach, they're telling me, exactly what time we're going to do what, when, where, and how, and things like that. So that part has been, an adjustment, there. But, with Coach Tang, what he's done, for us at Kansas State, it's almost like it's not even work. Really, because of the fact we love
everything is fun. Yep.
Yeah, we love going in every day because of the people that we're around, every single day, and the impact that we actually get to make, on guys' lives and this stuff too. And the other thing that's been great for me, where this time I didn't have to make the adjustment from so as me as a coach, I don't believe in cussing your players out or things like that to get your point across and stuff like that. I feel like you can hold guys accountable without necessarily having to cuss them out.
Yeah, for sure.
Overall, and so Coach Tang's the same way, as well. So where other place I worked, previously before, it was a little bit different, and so now it's like, hey, this is what I'm used to, as well. So it makes it great to where now it's like, okay, well. Because before I would have to go to where coaches would cuss players out, go to them and kind of say, hey, just listen to the message, not necessarily how it's being delivered, overall. But they're young men, so sometimes they get in their feelings, and things like that, and stuff too. So, but that's been probably really the only adjustment I've had has been hey, I'm not the one who's creating the schedule, which is perfectly fine, because Coach, we think a lot alike, too, sure. And so our staff is so well. We have great chemistry, with each other too. So it makes it a lot of fun to go in every single day.
I got you. And we're gonna wrap it up in a little bit, but I got a quick question I want to ask you. And me and my brother got a lot of coaches, buddies in college, football mainly, you in basketball, and we always tell our guys, don't let us find out on Twitter. You got a new job. And so we kind of told you that, so you kind of kept us updated. Which, what was that phone call like when Coach Tag called you to offer you a position at K-State?
It was actually surprising, really, because we wasn't expecting, anyone to be calling. We figured, there'd be another year or two if we had the same success, that we was probably going to be getting a lot of phone calls. So it was and then on top of that, I didn't have the me and Coach Tang wasn't close, either, so it wasn't certain people that certain people you're close to, you're like, oh, if he gets a job, he calling me, and
but like you just said, you tell the kids, you never know who watching.
Yeah, you never know. You never know whatsoever, because that was the thing too. Because when I talked to Matt about it, I was like, man, I didn't have any idea that Coach was gonna call me. He was like, I knew somebody was gonna call.
Yeah, for sure.
Because he just had such a great year, and everyone can see it, too, from you being able to recruit the players, the high level players, and then not only just being able to recruit the players, but being able to coach the players and getting them to play together, as a team. But it was it was kind of shocking, you know, in a way, because when he called, and I had his number in my phone because I've known Coach, and we have a relationship, you know, everything like that, and he had been to Link and everything, and was recruiting some of our players, and actually when I got the phone call, when I saw his name, because we had just had one of our players, you know, had to decommit from a school because the coach he got released, and so he went through a coaching change, so he didn't want to go to that school anymore. So I was thinking, I knew Coach had just got the job, you know, at Kansas State, so I was thinking Coach was calling to ask me about, you know, the player, that I had, and so that's what I was expecting the phone call to be, you know, and so when I answered the phone call and was expecting him to, you know, start talking about, you know, JP, I was like, you know, Coach, congratulations, by the way, you know, on getting a job. And he was like, well, that's what I was calling you about. You know, was that right there? I was like, kind of put my eyebrows up like, huh? You know? And so he was like, yeah. So, you know, I got a couple guys on my staff already that I knew who I was going to hire and everything like that. And, you know, you're the other guy that I'm, you know, wanting to see about hiring, you know, too. And so I was like, what? You know, he was like, yeah, I have a couple guys that's, you know, I've been watching you for a long time, and the way you run your program and the way you know, run your offense and be able to call plays and stuff like that. I know you're an offensive guy, and so I want an offensive guy on my staff, and so I feel like you'll be a great fit, you know, for us.
And you kind of text me and bro and ask us what we think.
So,
what we say, you better take it.
Yeah. So because I was shocked, you know, overall. So then I had to. I went and asked a bunch of people and everything because we had just started. I mean, we hadn't even been there a whole year, you know, at Link. Hadn't even been there a whole year, you know. And then we were just coming off of, you know, going to the national championship game and year number 1,
and Peace Jam championship.
So we was thinking like, man, you know, what's going on, you know. And so, but we're very excited about the move that we made, and you know, haven't looked back, you know, or second guess or thought twice about it, you know, too, and knowing that, hey, if we have success, which we plan on having, which I said that we would, you know, from the get-go, that because our whole staff is all winners, you know, too, and so that's just going to open up.
Shout out Yurik, that's on staff too.
Yes, sir.
My guy.
Yeah, my guy. Yurik and Jareen. And that's the thing too, because I can't, you know, go without saying, because even, you know, assistant to the head coach Kevin Sutton. We have a lot of like-minded guys on our staff. Marco Bourne, you know, too, and the Dream Downey, Yurik, you know, but it starts at the top.
Yeah, facts,
you know, too. I mean, Coach had this vision, and he knew exactly the way he wanted it to look and everything, and he implemented the plan, and everything just fell into place, really.
Gotcha. So we're gonna start wrapping this up. I got 2 questions for you. My first question: you asked Trey Young this when y'all was in the airport. What's your why?
My why is this right here. It's real simple. I was blessed and fortunate enough to be able to go play collegiate basketball at the highest level. Quick cup of coffee professionally overseas. But I had a bad high school coach, and I started playing basketball 6th, 7th grade, and so, but was always a really hard worker, and then had to learn things quite a bit on my own, and I had always looked back at my career and was like, man, you know, I ended up having a really good college career, you know, and everything. Played in the NCAA tournament, won a championship, led the team in conference and steals. You know, both years I was at Missouri State, you know, too. But I'd always look back like, man, what if I would have had someone teach me, telling me, and showing me the things that I should have been learning when I was coming up.
Exactly.
You know, how far would I
win?
You know, and so that had always kind of bothered me, you know, a little bit. And so I was like, well, what can you do about it? And I decided that I could be that guy. You know, and so now I became that guy. You know, and so that's my why. I want to make sure that no one else in their career that I ever coach has to look back on their career and be like, well, what if? You know, that type of thing. So that's been my why, to make sure that, you know, hey, because I look back on my career all the time. Like, I had a really good college career, but I could have had a great college career if I would have had someone that was teaching me, showing me, and telling me the things when I was coming up, you know, along the way. And that's why every time now that my guys end up making it, I'm like, yeah, that's what we talking about. Right?
And as we wrap this up, you had the luxury of coaching some great NBA guys. D1 guys, big time basketball players. Give me a message to the youth, if you could look in that camera, the guys that want to make it to Division I or make it to the NBA. What would you tell those guys?
Well, the first thing I would tell them is your words and your actions have to match up. Because I always, guys all the time say, Coach, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then, or like guys that would say, Coach, I want to play in the NBA. My first question I always ask them is, okay, well, how often do you work out? And I'm like, it's 7 days out of a week. They may say 2 or 3. And I'll tell them in a heartbeat, well, you can forget about change that plan because that ain't going to happen.
Right.
Because NBA guys don't work out 2 or 3 days out of a week out of those 7 days. Too. And I'll joke with them and be like, okay, let's take the high side, fella. Let's say you're working out 3 days out of the week, all right? Well, how many days did that leave? That's 4 days that's left. All right? Well, guess who's winning? The days that's not working out.
Exactly.
Overall. I said all the NBA guys that I ever coached, they're working out 7 days a week. And I said, so that's the first thing there. Because if you're going to be any good at anything, it's about how much you put into it.
Right.
And so that's the first thing that I always tell them is your words and your actions have to match up. Because they say things, especially this generation, because it sounds good. Overall. But they're not willing to go commit and dedicate their time to making sure that dream become, a reality.
Yeah, for sure.
Overall. And so that would be the message that I would give them. You got to make sure, like, hey, if you want it, yeah, you can do it. But you're going to have to put in the time to make sure that it happens, too. Because nothing just happened by accident.
Right.
You got to make it happen. Some people wish it to happen, others make it happen. And so that's the thing, that's the message that I would give.
Okay. All right, well, we appreciate you. We know you're on a little time crunch, busy schedule. My brother, we don't call too many people, but this is our brother, real talk. Appreciate you, Coach Perry. Really do.
I appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir.
Enjoyed it.
Yes, sir. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Talk of the Town, the 918 edition. Thank you.